Well, it's time for my impressions for today, and today I really want to use Eugenie's panel discussion as a basis for today's discussion, because she was in quite a quandary whether to move or not to move, and she knows that she has to move because I think the commercials are telling her that. But should she push through? Should she carry on doing what she's good at, which was my opinion, or should she reinvent herself? And this is a dilemma many entrepreneurs face. It's the dilemma of push or pivot, push or pivot. And you as an entrepreneur will have experiences, no doubt, especially if you're starting a business and you're not getting the response that you want. Do you pivot the business or do you push through with your idea? So 3 things to think about here. The first is am I ahead of my time? Number 1. Number 2, am I on time? And number 3, or am I behind the times? Now, if you are ahead of the time, then you've got a choice now between push and pivot, because if you're ahead of the time, then you might be just slightly ahead of time, or maybe it's years ahead of time, and that will depend on the next point, whether you push or pivot. But my suggestion is that if you are way ahead of time, that you start to think about pivoting and keep that idea in your pocket when the timing is a little closer. The next is on time. Are you on time? In other words, is this the time for this idea? And of course, then the answer is quite simple. It's to push. And finally, if you are behind the times, well, that is also quite a simple answer, and that is to pivot, because that industry will be dying, or that product will have little or no relevance anymore in the near future. And so the answer there is to pivot. The second thing now is what are my resources? Is to ask what are your resources, and that will determine whether you pivot or push. If you've got lots and lots of resources and you perhaps are just slightly ahead of time of the market, then you push through. If you have no resources or understood resources, and by resources I mean money, I mean infrastructure, I mean access to networks, all those kind of things, then the answer might be to pivot if you don't have those resources right now. And related to that is number 3, is who can I leverage right now that can give me broad access? Because very often what happens with small businesses is they are far more powerful if they reach masses of clients quicker. And so looking at a market and say, who can I partner with? Even if I have a far smaller percentage that will of the benefits, but they will catapult my business to the next level. Who out there can get my product or service distributed very quickly? Who can I partner with? And if you can find those, then push through till you find them. Alternatively, it's time to pivot.